What is it that the World Economic Forum is suggesting that we all become in the near future? I think they're saying, isn't that phrase, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's maybe starting to come true here in Canada. Justin Trudeau is, after all, quite a fan of these global elites and wants to get in on their good side. Who knows what his future plans are once he gets voted out of office next election here in Canada, after having completely divided the country and run it into debt. So, he'll maybe be with that Klaus Schwab or whatever, the guy who has the WEF, and what they want to do, if you haven't heard already, the general approach to this world's future suggested by the experts is that, as I said, you'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. Maybe in Canada, what we have is sort of a precursor to that. You'll own no guns, and you'll be happy. We got to start somewhere, right? And what you can see in this video here is some of my guns, and I'd like to raise a few questions about this whole approach. Number one being, what does it even mean to own anything in this country anymore? What does ownership mean, in fact? Now, as you can see here, we've got a few guns out here. The Canadian government has passed a handgun freeze law. That means you can't hand down your handguns anymore. So what I have here is 3 handguns that are used for trapping. And I have ATCs for these guns. Actually, not this one yet, but this is a 22. It'll be used for dispatch purposes. That'll probably be my wife who gets the ATC for that one. And these 2 are wilderness protection handguns. Now, I think in the case of trapping, you will be able to hand them down to the next generation, so long as that person that you're handing it down to uses it for a lawful occupation. And trapping is considered to be a lawful occupation, and you get authorizations to carry for that purpose and that purpose only. So I guess I might have an out there that my son has a trapping license and he's a junior trapper on our trap line. So in that condition, we could probably transfer these guns to him, but who knows, in 10 years, how things are going to change the way. There's no certainty or stability anymore. And that's returning me to this whole idea of ownership. Once you've destabilized this concept and the assurance that you can own anything, it throws everything out of the window. And I'm not just talking gun owners, because this is the first step. This is a precedent towards what can happen. Right now what I've got these guns laid out here, and I was going to clean them after a day of shooting at the range, and that's when it occurred to me. For the average gun owner, handgun owner, I mean, what's the incentive to take care of these guns anymore? At one point, you owned them, so there's a real pride of ownership that you get these very fine pieces of technology, and you want to take care of them. You want them to last long, so you can hand them down to your son and daughter and grandsons, granddaughters. You want them to last, and a firearm really is one of these kind of unique things. It's unlike a car, even an antique car, that they don't really wear out if you take good care of them. They are long-lasting, multi-generational investments and heirlooms. If you have a gun that you pass on to the next generation, that is something that connects you generation to generation. And when your son or your grandson or granddaughter, our daughter, they they handle and use these weapons, they are immediately back in touch with Dad used this gun, and it brings back memories. Now, maybe that doesn't fit in anymore with the woke ideology we have, which queer theory and all that, which really is, at its core, wants to dismantle society, and starting with families. All this means nothing to people like that. Many people in this country are they're captured by ideology that is all very recent. But for most of us Canadians, level-headed people, we understand the meaning of family. We understand the meaning of ownership. We understand the meaning of tradition and history. We weren't people that were just born yesterday. This country was formed on the basis of trapping and things like that, and hunting played a large role in that. So guns are not like the modern Hollywood depiction that is so popular, maybe even more in the States. For us, I'm in Western Canada, guns are tools. So why should I clean this gun? I've got all my cleaning gear set out here, if as I mentioned, maybe I can pass these on to my son, but not all of them. I have another gun here. This actually goes to show the utter ridiculousness of the Liberals. I had to make this case myself, by the way, because of the gun laws in Canada. You have to have the gun locked and in an opaque case, a locked opaque case, in order to transport from your house to the gun range. So, this is a big gun. The only way I could do it is to make my own case, and I don't mind. I make all my own stuff. I reload my own ammunition. I cast my own bolts. Like a lot of people that are affected by the uncertainty of the times and breaking down on supply chains and stuff, it's really nice to be self-sufficient. Something that the government also doesn't like. They would rather we be dependent on them, including YouTube, because they don't even allow you to show how to make ammunition anymore. That's considered a no-no. But you take this gun, for instance. I put probably 300 hours of work into making this stock for this gun. This is an XP100. They stopped making them in about 1995, but it's used for long-range target shooting. And I used to participate in that sport a lot. It was a lot of fun. And I still love shooting this gun. It shoots a Wildcat cartridge of 7mm bench press Remington, in case you didn't know. And I made this stock starting off with a square chunk of cherry wood, and I just went at it with the angle grinder. I glass bedded the action and everything, and I came up with a beautiful, accurate gun, something I'm very proud of, and something that's unique. But this gun is going to be thrown into a metal grinder someday by the Trudeau government and their successors. The people that have no respect for people's property. I don't really own this gun. I'm just kind of borrowing it, I guess, from the Canadian government, and they will let me have it as long as they see fit. Well, that's what it'll boil down to with the current laws, unless they change it again, which they very well could. With the current laws, like as soon as I die, this gun has to be handed in to the police, and they will take this and treat it like a piece of garbage that they think it is, and grind it up and destroy it. My children and grandchildren cannot have that gun. So now I am in the same barrel as almost every other handgun owner in Canada with respect to this gun, because this gun cannot qualify for being used for trapping. It's 7mm. It's not qualified for dispatching trapped animals, so I can't apply for an ATC in that regard and use it for an occupation for trapping. And it's, well, it's a single shot, so in order to get an authorization for handgun for wilderness protection, you have to pass a test where you fire 6 shots in rapid succession, drawing from a holster. Single shot just ain't gonna do that because you got to do it in 20 seconds. So I'm hooped with this gun. I'm totally hooped. It's gonna be garbage to somebody someday, and that really pisses me off. And I think this should piss off a lot of people, and it does piss off a lot of people because we all have special guns. We have memories. We have children, families, generations. We have history. We have ownership, or we thought we did at one time. But we don't anymore. Ownership, once that principle is disrupted, once a precedent is set, any of you who are not firearms owners in Canada, you can pay attention to this too. Do you own something that is nice, that you value? How do you know you're going to continue to own that now that these laws have changed? I mean, after all, I've done nothing wrong, and my property is going to get taken away. This is very much similar to the precedent Trudeau set with regards to our bank accounts. I mean, not everybody was in favor of the trucker convoy to Ottawa, but boy, did it serve one purpose in showing the government's true colors, because they went right to the banks and they, some lady in a small town in Saskatchewan, let's say she gives $25 donated to that convoy, they shut down her business. So free speech, political free speech is not allowed. Same thing you see with Jordan B. Peterson. He is not allowed to speak either. The government is increasingly encroaching on our freedoms, throttling us to toe the ideological line that they want promoted, one that historically has never existed until 5 minutes ago. And then all of a sudden, everyone is supposed to just turn over on a dime and be good citizens and do what we're told. I think most Canadians are getting sick and tired of doing what they're told. And that Canadian trucker convoy really kind of made the point to the world, because here we are, one of the most polite and well-ordered and peaceful societies on the face of the planet. And if even we can get ticked off enough to go to Ottawa and block up the roads and protest, then that's got to say something. It really did, and it did say something to the whole world. So we're sort of at the frontiers of this in some sense. We set the standard, we set the example that you have to at one point just say that's enough. We're good people, we've always abided by the law, but you're going too far, Mr. Trudeau, and all the people that think like you, like the World Economic Forum, all these supposed leaders that who knows where they came from. Where's our voices? So this is all tied together. And I hope this video serves some purpose as one of many voices out there trying to get the word out, making people aware that our freedoms are under assault and threatened. And for the sake of the next generation, not just so that it can hand guns down to them, but that would be nice too. But for the next generation and their freedoms, we have to stand up and oppose these efforts that are being made. Trudeau can do all the posturing he wants, calling us all people with unacceptable views. They're gonna try to align us with certain far right groups. They're extremists. The election is going to come up in Canada, and that's what they're going to do. It's what they always do. But there comes a certain point where people start saying, "Well, we understand what you're up to. You're trying to divide the country because you got their big population base there in the east, and they're largely urban. They don't know, in this case, they know nothing about guns. So let's go after those guys. There's in the west, and those gun owners, they're a small group. We can just pummel them and make them look like the bad guys. And then when the other party tries to defend them, then we can point to those other guys. See, those are scary right-wingers, those conservatives, and try to get into government again. But I don't think that's going to continue to work for them forever. At some point, we've got to see that it starts to become just too clear of what they're really up to. How much you value your freedoms, your right to speak your mind freely. So it goes with Bill C-11 as well, which the Liberals have just passed. It's going to put all internet content under the CRTC that governs broadcast television and radio and stuff. So they want us under their control, and they're going to, like, the YouTube community doesn't need this Bill C-11. We don't need the government to promote Canadian content. We're perfectly good on our own. Canadians don't need that kind of help. And that's because it's not help that they're offering. It's control that they want. They want to control the narrative, and they want to eventually exclude and put them on the fringe anyone who disagrees with them. So many threats to our freedoms on the horizon and already present. So let's do what we can. I think in case of gun owners, you really do have to support the firearms organizations. Whichever one you want is fine. There's there's a couple of them, and help them with your financial support, and also just speak up. Just you can post on social media as well yourself, and also person to person really is the most effective. Writing letters to your members of parliament is also very effective, because nothing scares politicians more than getting a whole pile of letters arriving at their office. That shows the strength of people's position when they go through the trouble of actually writing a letter and mailing it to them. So consider that as well. But in the meantime, I better get back to cleaning these guns here. It's even though the future is uncertain, I'm going to do what I can anyways and hope for the best. Do more than hope for the best. We have to work for the best. But in either case, as far as I'm concerned, this is still my property. And if the government wants to take it away someday, we will see what Canadians do about that. The Way to Native Chronicles, hope you got something out of this video. I'll catch you next time. Did you like this video? If you did, I think you're going to like this one right over here. So check it out. And I appreciate your subscribing if you haven't done so already. Remember to do that while you're watching this next video. Click like, it all helps us out for this channel. Catch you next time.